The whole case is just not right.
All Glenn Kingsbury wants is justice for the murder of his father, John Kingsbury. Super Bowl Sunday 2012, Glenn and his family returned to their home in Mullica Township, opened the door, and saw Glenn's father, John, lying in a pool of blood on the floor of the kitchen.
Me and the kids were coming back into the house with gear and all that stuff. Opened the door, and I found my father laying on his back, breathing heavy, blood all over him.
So initially they thought because he was battling seizures that he had fallen and hit his head. They called EMS, who came and took John Kingsbury to the hospital. Then they found a bullet casing. And then they found another bullet casing and they called the cops. This was a murder. 14 months later, they found a person of interest. His name was Michael Castro, who is an employee of Glenn and works some events in the cheerleading company that Glenn has. He was with Glenn just the night before, and he knew that Glenn's house would have a bag of about $30,000 in cash in it from the events that they held. Castro, after he was arrested in Florida, he was brought up and extradited to New Jersey, sat in jail for 16 months, a lot of court dates, and then his attorney turned and said the Atlantic County Prosecutor's Office had fudged this case completely. He wrote a 141-page document, sent it to the court, and Castro was a free man, citing procedural errors in the Atlantic County Prosecutor's Office. That's no surprise. Shaneen Allen, Ray Rice, they were dropping the ball a lot apparently back then. The gun used in this slaying was a gun from a sheriff's officer, a female sheriff's officer in Camden County, who actually was a part gym owner with Castro back in 2012. People say that they're possibly romantically linked back then, and she contended that Michael Castro, or whoever, took the gun out of her home without her knowledge. She's since been promoted. Now there's a new prosecutorial team on the case. They can bring new charges against Castro, which they did in January. Starting from stage one, they're building their new case against Michael Castro, who the prosecutors think is guilty of this murder. This morning on Monday, there was a hearing. Glenn Kingsbury was there with Karen, his business partner, and also Michael Castro. Both attorneys spoke and reset this for May 19th. I talked to Glenn afterwards.
Numb to it, I'm tired, I'll be honest with you. It's been over 4 years now since my father's passing. And we're gonna be going on for another year and a half, maybe longer.
Do you think justice will be served here?
I don't know. Yeah. I'd like to say yes.
Now, this family's pain is obviously very real. You know it, you've seen it. But I've read that Castro's attorney has actually pointed the finger at another person who they say is responsible for the murder. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
In that 141-page document, Castro's attorney is pointing the finger at someone else who could be a former employee of Glenn that had knowledge of this money as well. May 19th is the next hearing. Trial is probably set to start in early 2017.